they're going to do it. They're going to bust loose. They're a powder keg juggernaut. Okay.
Hey guys, how you doing? This is a new concept we're doing, and my name is Wes. This here is Tyler Keith.
What's up?
This is a demo, so basically we're going to fire it off like this. We're still under some type of name-catching deal here. We've come up with a couple, but like I said, this is just a demo. And what we're going to do basically is we're just going to bring sports at you from every different angle. We're going to hit you in every way possible. It's completely in-your-face type deal. Everything that you read on a message board or everything that you have questions about, we're going to try to, bundle that all together and throw it right at you.
We also want to interact with you guys, the people watching this. So once we come up with the name and kind of get our websites and email addresses and those set, we'll give that to you. And hit us up with questions, comments, whatever. We'll be glad to hear from you and answering your questions and talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Well, Tyler, tell them what the concept of basically I touched on what we're going to do, but tell them exactly what our main focus is and how we're going to deliver this. It's is it going to be Facebook or YouTube? How's it going to
Facebook, Twitter, email address, and we'll just go from there. I'm not really much into anything other than that, but as many social media or websites as we can find, we'll get on as the show grows, and we're going to go from there. We're going to pretty much cover from UFC to golf to college football, NFL, NBA, baskets, and whatever y'all want to cover, we'll cover, and we'll have fun doing it. And hopefully y'all have fun watching.
Yeah, I want to cover women's curling, dude. Seriously, particularly the Canadian group. But yeah, like I said, this is a whole brand new concept, and it's kind of cool that this is happening because college football is over, NFL is over.
So what he's saying is football is done for the year.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying is all the cool stuff is gone. So we're going to try to make it seem like it never went away. Because I am a recruiting junkie, and so is he.
Guilty. Yeah,
I'm also an idiot, so I'm hoping this will be a fun little concept that we have going. And let's see, we've got a Twitter account, right?
Yes, we get that for you. And this could change as the show grows, and we may come up with another name, but as of right now, it is.
Well, he's got an Android phone. It's kind of a bust, so it's going to take a minute to find that.
That's not that bad.
It's pretty bad.
It's the Twitter handle is at MSVBN01, and that's you can find us on Twitter on that, and on Facebook.
Repeat it again. You said it too fast.
On Twitter, it's at MSVBN01. And on Facebook, you can find us at... You got that?
Yeah. We're waiting on your Android.
That's just coming to find all these texts.
Boost Mobile.
Yeah. On these Blackberries, the crapberries.
All right, we got the Twitter account. Okay, while he's dealing with his Boost Mobile phone or whatever this is, this is going to be great. As you know, yes, I am an Ole Miss guy, but I absolutely love sports, and I'm going to be as fair as possible. And as you can see here, this cat is wearing a Florida Gators and
with a Rebel hat.
So he's just confused all the way around together, and it'll be a fun time. Did you come up with the? Are we still here?
Yeah, I got it. It's on Facebook. It's MSVBN Video Blog. Again, it's MSVBN Video Blog. That's on Facebook. And once we get other, we'll let you know about it.
Okay. We do have a third guy that's involved in this deal, but he's on a job site right now. He's got a real job. He does that. He's a day walker. You'll love him to death. But that's our introduction of what we got, and we'll be back here shortly with the actual show.
Enjoy.
Walk the plank.
Welcome back, guys and girls, ladies, gentlemen. We just did our intro, our demo, but now we're going to get into the meat of it. And this is, like I said, it's our test run. And basically what I'd like to do is come right at it right off the bat. Recap of the 2015 football season, the SEC. A lot of things happened. There was a lot of preseason hype and a lot of preseason bust.
And a lot of luck during the season for some teams.
Well, luck is basically what the game is when it comes to certain things that happen, when there is a lot of what I said was hype and bust. And we're going to touch on that. I'd like to fire off with I guess we can go towards the SEC East and then we'll jump into the West. But I'd like to start off with Florida. Because you're wearing it.
Same thing.
So let's talk on it. Go ahead. You have the floor, buddy.
Florida, man, what a tale of two different teams. He had a quarterback come in, light up the world, looked like Florida was going to be the team to beat. Beat a top, 3 Ole Miss team?
Yes, they did.
And in Gainesville at the beginning of the year, it looked like they were going to be the team to beat, probably in the SEC.
But they weren't the preseason hype. That's the point.
No, they weren't. And I'd give that preseason hype / flop to Auburn.
That's our West deal.
West, East, SEC, that was the flop of the SEC.
Auburn was a flop of the SEC all around, but as far as the East is concerned, I'd like to touch on this. Florida was not a preseason hyped powerhouse team. We knew coming into it what was going on. There was a lot of questions that was happening based around the Florida team. And yet they turned it on. Their defense was basically as advertised. That was the one hype of the team. And we clearly saw when you have a quarterback that had question marks around him that ultimately left the program, what happened with the team. They struggled, losing their last 3 games in virtually blowouts at the end of the season. And that brings up Tennessee. Yeah, you Tennessee fans, brick by brick, I get it. Hey, it's a great program. Dobbs seems to be the real deal. He's also rather intelligent. The guy's working on, engineering degree?
Yeah.
Butch Jones has assembled what I would consider a 9-win program, stable within the East. And now that Kirby Smart is at Georgia, by the way, what do you think about that move in Kirby Smart? It's kind of a no-brainer in my opinion.
I don't like it personally.
What? Why?
I mean, I'd rather hire somebody that's had some head coaching experience. In my opinion, you've got to walk your way up the ladder. You can't just go from the bottom step to the top. You've got to work your way up there, else you're going to fall. And in my honest opinion, I think Kirby Smart is going to fall. Georgia, you just fired a coach that, was consistently 8, 9, 10 win team, year in, year out. And that wasn't good enough. And you're going to an unproven head coach that has not had the first day of head coaching experience. Don't think it's going to work. I mean, I could be wrong. Just my opinion. I don't see it happening. Another one is South Carolina. You want to touch on South Carolina?
Yeah. Before you go to South Carolina, let me make a point about Georgia, though. Let's see here. Mark was fired, but you're talking about unproven coaches. I would think that Kirby Smart is the only man in America that has not been a head coach that has 3 national championship rings. I'm saying that his defensive mind strategy is perfect for what Georgia was lacking. They have put up great defenses. The one thing, though, is the whole picture. Mark is a great coach. Let's just see what Georgia can do what Kirby can do. Basically, I think it's all going to come down to Eason. Is he the future? My personal opinion, non-biased aside, I think he stunk it up on the U.S. Army All-American game. He plays out west. He didn't. They played no defense. He got into that game, played some first tier D1 prospect defense, and got 8 up. That's my assessment on that. as far as the rest of the East is concerned, you can pretty much say the pecking order is exactly the same. It will fall where you think it is. Florida, Tennessee are about to swap. I say Tennessee.
Yeah, I disagree. I think Florida, I'm not really a Florida fan, but just reviewing, I think this is Tennessee's year. If they're going to do it, you have to do it this year.
Oh, absolutely.
You have to do it.
Absolutely. That I was going to touch on that in the other segment, but you went ahead and brought it to the light. Tennessee has to do it this year because they're going to have a lot of seniors that are going to go after this year, and possibly a lot of juniors go to the draft.
Well, not only that, you got Florida coming back. They're going to be a force to reckon with.
Who's going to be their quarterback? Mark Greer, he's gone. And the
Greer's
other quarterback is now a wide receiver.
Florida had a redshirt quarterback. I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He set out this year. He's supposed to be the quarterback for next year. And from what I hear, just people talking about practices around Florida, is he looked better than the other two. Now, just what I'm hearing, could be wrong. I don't have any firsthand information about that. Just what I'm hearing from, internet board talk. But like I said, this Tennessee's year to do it. But you could have done it this year, and you fell to Florida, who had zero offense. Zero.
Tennessee lost to Florida, and here's a staggering stat. Tennessee lost to Florida and Oklahoma, I think, by a combined 8 points. 8 points.
And had leads late in those
8
games.
points.
Had leads late in both those games. Could not hold on.
All right, so basically, are you in agreement with me that Tennessee and Florida are the teams to beat in the East? What about Georgia?
We'll see about Georgia. I don't think they're going to do it, but you can never count out the dogs. They always have the talent there. We'll see how good of a coach.
Coach Smart.
Kirby Smart's had a brain for it there.
It's fine.
We'll see how he does. I mean, he's got the talent. If he can put any kind of game plan together, you can see the dog on top of the East this year. For some reason, I'd like to say I do not see Tennessee doing it.
We'll see, man. That's our East roundup for right now. We're going to do another segment, come back on the West. I need a beer. Thank you.
Walk the plane.
Welcome back, guys, girls, ladies, gents.
Did y'all miss us?
Probably not. This is brand new.
I wouldn't either.
Yeah, we're nothing to look at. But, yeah, I messed up in the last segment and said Mark Greer. I knew it was Will Greer. I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking about Mark Reich. But anyway, we're going to touch on this, the SEC West.
Well, you did warn them you were an idiot. So.
Well, they know it anyway. But, hey, I don't have the Boost mobile phone. But anyway, we're going to touch on the SEC West, and that seemed to be the centerpiece and the big worry for all of college football. In the college playoffs, it came down to what was going to happen in the SEC West.
Mainly with Ole Miss.
Believe it or not, yeah, that was it.
I mean, if Ole Miss won out after Memphis and Memphis won out, who would get that third or fourth spot?
Well,
that's arguable. You can argue whichever way you want. Thankfully, it didn't come down to that. I think it worked itself out pretty fine. Alabama, you got in. You won it. You took care of business. Congratulations on your national championship and SEC championship. And next year, could be the same boat. Maybe not. We'll see. Your lack of your running back's gone and Henry. Everybody's talking up Bo Scarborough, which is a huge, huge, huge guy, and apparently has pretty good speed. Quarterback. Who's your quarterback going to be? I mean, you haven't had a quarterback the last couple of years. You pulled one out of your back end. This year, I haven't heard the first thing about who's going to be the quarterback.
We didn't hear about that last year either. That's basically the philosophy of Nick Saban, and it works great. It's worked. That's what makes him probably among the top 2 or 3 coaches of all time. His philosophy is stern, it's stone, and it works. You have a quarterback that can manage the ball, heavy defense, and run it up your gut and wear them down.
Here we go again. Bo Scarborough has not started the game. He hadn't had any meaningful playing time. We don't know if he's going to take or even get close to taking the place of Derrick Henry. Heisman Trophy winner. That's going to be hard shoes to fill.
All right. Well, let's say Ole Miss did win out. In Alabama, I don't even know that we would get a playoff team at that point in the SEC.
I don't think we would have.
I think that the 4th and 25, which we're going to touch on later, was the miracle that the NCAA and the college football world wanted to have their perennial power in the playoff, which was Alabama. That was a gift wrapped up. But we've touched on Alabama. We're both in agreement. Alabama's Alabama. You forget. Well, no, you don't forget. You know, you're a recruiting guy like me. But Alabama's had six in a year, six top class team in a year in recruiting. That's insane, man. That's totally insane. And for anybody else to even compete with that, they have to understand that even Alabama's third team is going to be loaded with 4 and 5 stars. But let's touch on the next one.
Let me make one more point about Alabama and Nick Saban. From everything I've read and heard, Nick Saban recruited his tail off this year, and he hadn't worked that hard in years, which tells me 2 things. I really think, and I'm not trying to be a homer bias, whatever, I really think Ole Miss has got to Nick Saban. And 2, I do not think he's planning to leave Alabama anytime soon. I don't see Nick Saban, even though he is so competitive in everything he does, I don't see him leaving because of how hard he worked. I could be wrong again, but
leaving's not an option.
I don't think so.
Leaving's not an option. He's in his 60s. He's not going anywhere. He's got a house in Texas. He's if he wanted to go, he would be gone. That's not even an option at this point. Bama, we covered you. Let's go back to who was next, and that is Ole Miss. We all know that Ole Miss, the preseason hype, they actually lived up to the billing. Contrary to popular belief, Hugh Freeze's goal this year was to make the Sugar Bowl.
And not only did he make
That's exactly what happened, and he won it. For this to be labeled as a letdown year is completely absurd. I think overall, if I were to grade Alabama and Ole Miss's year, they both get an A.
I would go Alabama A+, Ole Miss A-. You can't get an A+ with losing to Memphis. You cannot get an A+ with losing to a mediocre Arkansas team at home.
Yeah, I didn't give Ole Miss an A+.
No,
I gave them both an A because Bama lost to Ole Miss.
No, I was just explaining why I gave.
Oh yeah, got you. But overall, this is what I'd like to touch on. Beginning of the season, there was a lot of questions surrounding Chad Kelly. Chad had these problems that he's had in the past. He came in with this supposed AK-47 thing, and people were so worried, was he going to lead the team? That was the big question mark. Well, he delivered. Not only did he deliver, the guy has ice for blood in his veins. He literally, I've seen him get pounded all this year, and he jumps right back up with a smile on his face. He's a gladiator. What's your assessment on Chad Kelly this year?
Oh, he did have an AK for an arm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good Lord. But, yeah, he had no blood in his veins, I'm pretty sure. But he cool, calm, and collective and under pressure. To go to Alabama, and how many seats they have? About 100,000. Am I correct on that?
Yeah.
And go in there and beat an Alabama team who end up winning the national championship on their home turf when Ole Miss has only done it once in its history. In what is 4th game, that is unheard of. If you would have told me before the season Chad Kelly's going to lead the Rebels over the Tide in Tuscaloosa to victory, would have never believed you. I mean, I'm a huge Ole Miss fan, but I try to be real, and Ole Miss does not ever have any luck in Tuscaloosa.
This goes out to, this is a question that I would like to ask viewers once we have our call-in deal all chimed in and ready. And this is a question I'm going to bring up. Can you name me one first-year starting quarterback that has gone into Alabama and beat them in their 4th game? Get back with me on that. But overall, Ole Miss, Alabama had a great year. Let's ease on down to actually what I would say was a circus ride. And obviously it fits Les Miles to a Point, LSU. What's your assessment on this season?
This season, I think it's same as last. I think you got a lot of cupcakes early. Fournette's going to be shot of big wins, and the hype's going to be there. The ranking's going to be there, but then you meet the back end LSU schedule, which is not pretty once again. You do get Alabama and Ole Miss at home, but without a passing game, those two games, even though they are at home, are going to be hard.
They still have LF.
They do have LF, but if you can't pass the ball, that gives teams the ability to load the box and dare them to throw. And if you don't have that ability, you're shut down. Just like at Alabama last year, they dared LSU to throw the ball, and LSU cannot consistently throw the ball to save their lives. And that's what ultimately cost them the game. And what's the other teams, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Arkansas, saw that game film. Well, they knew what to do, and LSU could not overcome that.
Here's my assessment on LSU. I think it boiled down to a mental deal. I think it boiled down to the fact that they were questioning Les Miles' ability, and the team kind of rallied around that towards the end of the year and came on strong for Les Miles. You got to remember, and a lot of people forget, these are kids playing a big man sport. LF is 19 years old? The guy's 230, 240 pounds. People forget this, and they get very emotional out there. I think a lot of LSU's season this year, like I said, was a circus ride because it all centered around Les Miles. Now, with that being said, I'll take a lot of criticism for it, and I have to agree with you on this. What's his name? Cameron? Is that who it is? Yeah. I don't think that they're fully capable of coaching a quarterback. That's yet to be seen.
They can't even sign a quarterback.
Well, we know. I'm just saying that's the X factor right there with LSU is the Les Miles circus and the quarterback issue. Okay, we've covered Bama, Ole Miss, LSU. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. The other Mississippi team, Mississippi State University. What's your take?
Mississippi State, without an offensive line, you did all you could do with Dak Prescott.
They had a great season, though.
They did have a great season. They really did. And I know I've got a lot of State friends that are disappointed with the season. But, 5 years ago, if you said we'd go 9-4, that would have been a great season for State or even Ole Miss. The fact that Dan Mullen has brought Mississippi State back, or not even back, but up to this level is it's not even, I can't even think of a word to describe it. It's good for the state of Mississippi that Ole Miss is centered like this, and is again good for the colleges. A lot of people down on Dan Mullen. He had one bad recruiting year and lost to Ole Miss. Even though he had a great year, the only thing that really cost y'all is the offensive line, because teams that beat y'all, were able to get pressure without blitzing, and they could sit back and wait on Dak to pass. And if y'all had any kind of offensive line, I can't even think what I'm trying to say. You had a higher ceiling if you could, had an offensive line to let Dak sit that back there and pass, and you can have an actual running game. You could have easily won, 9, 10, even maybe 11 regular season games plus your bowl game. Yours?
My take is this. It's very simple. It comes down to not just the offensive line. It's one person in general. Josh Robinson. The rock of the team for Mississippi State University's success last year, in my opinion, was Josh Robinson. That guy is a man-child. A lot of people seem to forget that, they have to place blame somewhere, and nobody mentions the fact there is a blinding spot missing, and that's Josh Robinson. If Josh Robinson had been there this year, I think that they would probably won another game or so.
Maybe, but again, without an offensive line, who's going to block for him? Like I said, Ole Miss, Alabama, LSU, and Texas A&M were able to get pressure on Dak Prescott without blitzing. And in the SEC, if that's all it takes is 3 or 4 guys get pressure on your quarterback, you're not going to do too well. This
brings up an interesting point that we'll put in the other segment. We talk about recruiting, but I really want to touch on this offensive line in Mississippi State University. Okay, we covered that. Great season, Mississippi State. Props to you. We've covered the Big Four. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Tyler and I were talking in the off segment the bottom three here of who had the worst bust season. Well, I'm going to have to go with the least of the bust seasons, and that's Arkansas. Um, I don't even know where to go with that one. So, Tyler, lead us off once again with that.
Arkansas started off slow, ended up really hot. I don't know how many of y'all actually watched the Arkansas versus Mississippi State game. I was actually listening to it on the way home from visiting Oxford, and I would have loved to watch it. It was back and forth, and I think Arkansas lost it on a blocked field goal. If they would have hit that field goal, I think they would have finished the season on a 4 or 5 game win streak.
Absolutely.
If somehow Arkansas can figure out how to get the motor going a little bit earlier in the season, you're in for a fun ride because they've got all the pieces. They'll be young. They lost their running back this year, lost their tight end, lost their quarterback.
Tight end was huge.
But they had one back.
Tight end was the 4th and 25. We'll touch on that later.
But you got little Allen coming in as your quarterback, and I don't know if he's going to replace your running back and or tight end. But Billum is always going to have a great offensive line, so I don't think the running game is going to take that much of a hit. And if you can get adequate quarterback play, Arkansas should be a decent team again. Wes?
That's my assessment, basically. I always have an X factor for each team. And my X factor for this team is their quarterback. The quarterback for Arkansas came on hot. He kind of reminded me a little bit of Paxton Lynch from Memphis and his mindset of how he was a bulldog. He showed me his NFL talent very quickly throughout the season. It wasn't just the Ole Miss game when he put up the Atari-like numbers.
I mean, even the state game, like I just mentioned.
Yeah, he's just an incredible quarterback, and unfortunately, Arkansas loses him. And I'm not going to make any predictions right now, but overall, I would have to give Arkansas a C this year.
I agree with that. I'd go C or C plus for Arkansas.
You know, we didn't even give Mississippi State a rating. I would give them a B plus.
I give them a B. They had a good year. Like I said, you could.
And we didn't give LSU a rating, for that matter.
LSU, I'd do a C plus. I mean,
C minus. That's they're borderline D with me, but
what about Ole Miss? You know,
we already did Ole Miss State. I gave them an A. You gave them an A plus.
That's right. All people. I'm sorry. I forget things.
No. It's fine. It's fine. Okay, so basically Arkansas I gave them a C minus. You gave them a C.
I say C plus. They can figure out how to get going earlier in the season. That's a B plus easy season.
Okay, now the road ahead for Arkansas is going to be the biggest question mark in the entire SEC because they lose all of their primary targets, and we will touch on that later. Okay, let's go next, and this is the toss-up here. Which had a worse season? Was it A&M or Auburn? Tyler thinks one thing, I think another thing, but we also think the same thing. So we're going to cover both of them at the same time because I both think they are at the bottom of the SEC in the 2015 cycle.
But I don't think anybody really knows what's going on with Texas A&M. I really don't. You lose two.
They don't even know.
Quarterback.
Their athletic director doesn't even know.
There was a rumor going around this offseason that the coach was about to be fired.
Yeah.
And then that's true, then not true, then true. I don't think anybody knows what's really going on. Auburn, on the other hand, all this preseason high,
There's no excuse for Auburn. A&M has every excuse in the world, but I will give it to Auburn. They had a debacle with the wide receiver situation, and that was big. That would be like Ole Miss losing Laquan Treadwell in the middle of the season. Well, not quite, because Ole Miss has other wide receivers, but Auburn really didn't have another wide receiver to back up on. And their defense, Carl Lawson being gone, killed that defense. And, I think it just murdered their aura, how they felt as a team. I mean, it's almost like they gave up.
Jeremy Johnson didn't live to his billing. He was a preseason candidate.
No, he didn't live up to his billing one bit at all. That's the reason I cannot figure for the life of me which one is worse. Did A&M or did Auburn have a worse season? If you can learn anything about this, you can learn not to put all of your eggs into one basket, which is what A&M did and Auburn did. They put their eggs into that one basket with the wide receiver and the defensive end, and it absolutely demolished their morale.
Matt, on Auburn, if
Hey, they have one hell of a recruiting class, though. We'll get in that later.
But they always do. But if they don't have, a 9 or 10 win season this season, I can see them looking for a coach this next offseason. Same for Texas A&M. I think they both could be looking for coaches this time next year.
I have said that I'm giving Auburn 2 years with Gus.
I don't give him 2. If he don't win more than 8 games, he's gone. From what I understand.
Okay, well let's fast forward. What happens if Miles doesn't win 8 or 9 games this season?
Well, from all the reports down in Baton Rouge, and I've got friends down there that reported to me daily during the last Miles debacle, that he begged and pleaded for his job. And coach one more year, and he swore up and down he'd retire after this next season. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. That's to be foreseen. But if that's what saved his job. I mean, heck, when Jimbo came back and said no during the third quarter of the Texas A&M game, that's when they decided that Les would be back. Les holds all the chips in this to me.
Les is the circus show. That's what I'm telling you.
He holds all the chips. I mean, he's got one up on the LSU administration right now.
And he does. Well, he brings in a lot of money just off of him as coaching. Well, look, we've touched on the SEC West. We've touched on the East. Right now, we're going to go on a break, and when we come back, we're going to throw in a little predictions and a little bit of recruiting. This is going to be the fun stuff for us right here.
Oh, yeah.
You guys take it easy. We'll see you in a minute.
Walk the plane.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed our segment this far, being that it's our demo, and we've been touching on several things. What do you think about it so far?
I've actually enjoyed doing it. I hope you have too, and I hope we can do this more of these, because I can talk about sports all day long, and hopefully y'all like looking at our ugly faces and listening to these horrible voices of ours, but it's fun for me, and hopefully it's fun for y'all too.
Well, hopefully they're not going to have an option, because we're going to keep bringing them to them.
Let's do it.
That's the point. All right, so 2016 recruiting and predictions. We're going to start off. Recruiting is this year was a wild ride. A lot of rumors. I've noticed that since the 2013 cycle, that social media has played an intricate part into recruiting. And if you're an old school coach, you got to hire some new young blood talent recruiting and assistant coaches that actually know how to pick up their cell phone and start a Twitter feed or a Facebook, whatever it is. We're actually still dealing right now, and signing week was last week. We're still dealing with some talent out there, such as Combo, who hasn't signed. And the only reason anybody even knows about this is because of social media. So let's jump right into it. The big stories, Rashawn Gary.
Michigan. He was Michigan all the way.
Yeah.
His mom was stuck on Michigan. And Ole Miss tried, Clemson tried, Auburn tried. Alabama tried to get the game late. His mom was just stuck on Michigan for whatever reason. I guess it was that Michigan education that the Michigan AD hinted at that was the final straw for him to go to Michigan.
Well, like I said, in defense of to all the Rashawn Gary lovers out there, if that was the case, he would have gone to Stanford.
Or Vanderbilt. You can play in the SEC and get a great education at Vanderbilt.
Right. There's more to it than that, but more props to him in the Harbaugh deal. I don't know if Harbaugh had a spend-the-night party with him or what, but it worked out in their favor. That was the big target, and he's Michigan-bound. He's not in the SEC. So let's go. Let's go on forward. There's 3 big stories I would like to touch on this year with a fourth. I'd like to touch on Alabama, their recruiting. And Texas came from the 30s to they launched top 10 in recruiting.
Great job by them. Great close by them.
Overnight with a horrible year. I mean, it was okay. I mean, I guess Oklahoma winning, them beating Oklahoma, that was a big deal.
And Baylor. They beat Baylor, too, knocked them out of the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah, they did that. They did that for sure.
And that ties back to the SEC because Ole Miss would have played Baylor in the Sugar Bowl instead of Oklahoma State. So there's that ties back to the SEC, which is what we're talking about today, SEC.
So there you go. Texas, Alabama, which had a great recruiting year, but it came on really, really weird at the end of the season. It's very uncanny for Nick Saban to show up at airports to meet recruits before they're flying
to Ole Miss.
To Ole Miss. That's something I haven't ever seen before, and this is the reason I want to touch on it. When I was talking about social media and phones and whatnot, the reason I'm bringing it up is because it makes coaches go into desperation mode in recruiting. 4 years ago, if I were to tell you that Nick Saban was saw at an airport
in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, cutting off recruits flying into Mississippi, you would have said I was crazy.
We still do, but yes, I would have.
Yeah, that's the thing here. Recruiting has gone to a whole nother level. Now let's touch on what has happened here.
Well, I want to make this touch back to my point from earlier in the show about Nick Saban, almost getting under Nick Saban's skin. This is my whole point. Nick Saban recruited Mississippi very hard on a lot of Ole Miss targets. And when he was talking about would sign with Alabama, but Alabama the morning this player was supposed to be flying into Memphis to drive through Oxford to visit Ole Miss.
Was it Hall?
Yes, it was Hall. It was Terrell Hall, defensive end, 5-star. I think he was the number one defensive end in the nation. Nick Saban got early to meet his family to try to.
Hall was a tight end.
No, he was a defensive end. Meet his family at the airport before he flew out to Ole Miss to try to convince him not to go. Every source I had said if we get Hall on campus, Ole Miss has a legit shot to sign him. Apparently, Nick Saban thought the same thing. And like I said earlier, two things I noticed from Nick Saban this recruiting season, that he recruited his tail off for the first time in years. And he was in a lot of Mississippi kids, and we'll get to that a little bit more in depth later on. But he went after Ole Miss targets and Mississippi State targets. So Mississippi teams, you've done a great job of kind of disturbing the upper echelon of the SEC. Great job, State. Great job, Ole Miss. Let's keep it up. And let's actually stir the SEC up and make it fun again instead of these same old teams fighting for it.
This is my final say on the Nick Saban theory on what he did. I'm not taking anything away from the University of Alabama. I want to give it all credit to where it's due. It's to the Mississippi high school sports in general. Our talent in Mississippi has gone up, and it may be that he's trying to stop them from coming to us so he can get them, or anywhere else. But the bottom line is our talent is awesome. We can get into that, and actually we're going to jump right into it right now. We're going to go with, let's look at the big one that started off from day one, which was A.J. Brown. That was a huge target. And he went to Ole Miss, and that was in the backyard of Mississippi State University. Can you tell us why and how this even happened? And I know, in my theory, I think it's a lot to do with Hugh Freeze's system and Shea Patterson, but there has been rumors there is other reasons that A.J. Brown selectively chose the University of Mississippi.
I don't know the exact reason. I've heard several different things why, but the one thing I can point to and rest assured that it played a huge factor in his decision. Mississippi State doesn't have a quarterback. Dak is gone. Alabama doesn't have a quarterback. There's your gone. Ole Miss has signed the number one quarterback in America, Shea Patterson, and still has Chad Kelly on campus. And he also has other big-time wide receivers on campus, so he will not get double-teamed. Alabama has one. State has none. Their big-time targets went to the NFL. That was played a big role in it, and I've also heard that the Mississippi State coaches didn't recruit him. He just didn't feel the love from state coaches, which is sad because the Starkville High School is not 5, maybe 10 minutes down the road from the Mississippi State campus. And if your coaches can't get up and go, visit that far down the road, that doesn't bode well. I'm going to let this lead into Jeffrey Simmons. they recruited the heck out of him and landed him. So congrats to them on that. Apparently did what they needed to do to get him. And they also lost Scott Lashley to Alabama, which is, again, another Golden Triangle kid that State had pretty much in their backyard that let go. I talked about their offensive line earlier in the show, and their offensive line recruiting class was par at best, average. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be too proud of it, but that's just me. But they've got to get a quarterback. They've got to get offensive line. They've got a lot of work to do to keep their win totals up, and this recruiting class didn't help that at all.
Well, there are people out there that would disagree with your assessment, but it's a fairly nice assessment. You know, like I said, that it's amazing what social media has done for recruiting. We all knew that Nigel Knott was going to Alabama with that Bleacher Report video that came out, but Alabama failed to tell him that they were going to pop him with a gray shirt.
Well, see, that's another one State let, and Ole Miss did also let get out of state. He's a 4-star cornerback, which both teams need, and they let him go to Alabama.
Well, hey, let's bring up this King Kongbo. This cat here is a 5-star by Rivals, 4-star across the board, JUCO, #1 defensive end, JUCO talent-wise in America. As of today, it's February 9th. Signing day was on the 3rd. He still hasn't signed. His parents do not want him to go to UT. I think that they're going to give in. If your child wants to go to Tennessee or wherever they want to go, you sign and let them go. So ultimately, I think Kongbo is going to go. What do you think? Do you think that this similar situation as parents? That's what I'm hearing, though.
Yeah, I'm hearing nothing but his parents want Ole Miss.
Might I add, all of us are hearing through social media.
Well, I've got actual people tell me something that are connected to some way the coaching staff. I'm not going to say in the exact way because I don't want to give away my sources. But yeah, that the parents want him at Ole Miss, but apparently he is just dead set on Tennessee. If I was his parent, I would want my kid somewhere he would want to go. I don't know why the parents are so against Tennessee. I don't know how their family works or anything. But I would let my kid go to Tennessee. And I think Wes would also, if he had a son saying, Dad, I want to go here.
Yeah, there's no doubt. Wherever if I had a child, wherever they would want, if they were capable of going, I would support them 100%. Shy of going to Marshall or something like that. But, jokingly. But look, we could literally sit here and touch on all the SEC teams. We briefly went on recruiting and over Bama, Ole Miss, and State, and a little bit of Texas and Michigan. That's a whole nother hour-long segment when it comes to recruiting.
And we will get to it. I promise you that.
Yeah, that's actually, we have a whole off season to do this, and we're gonna give it to you each person breakdown. But I want to get into something that is going to be pretty awesome, and that's the predictions. And football, that is, because we got baseball coming up. We're right here close.
It's under 2 weeks.
Man, I can't wait for that. But SEC East, what do you see in the pecking order?
I see a jumble between Georgia, Tennessee, and Florida. And then it's a coin flip for Kentucky and Vanderbilt at the bottom. And Missouri. I've totally forgotten Missouri. It's not really competitive anymore. They won the East twice, and they really fell off the.
Well, they don't even have a coach or quarterback now.
So I think Missouri's very bottom. Coin flip, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, and then if you suck a gun to my head, and this will probably change before the season starts, I would go Florida, Tennessee, Georgia. Then Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Missouri. You're saying Tennessee.
The only reason I'm not on this Tennessee bandwagon.
I'm not either.
No, I'm not on a Tennessee bandwagon. But I'm telling you that they are going to take the East. This is my prediction. it all falls on Dobbs. If Dobbs stays healthy with that system, I see them taking the East.
See, I think,
and I'm not buying into the Tennessee brick by brick thing. I'm just stating that I'm looking at it from a factual, statistical standpoint.
see, I think it falls on Butch Jones. He lost several games late last year. If he would have won the Florida game, for instance, you let a 4th and 25 go for a touchdown.
I don't think they were ready. I don't think they were.
All comes back to coaching.
Yeah, I don't think they were ready. Yeah, he had to learn, and he will learn. Okay, so that's what we have in the East. Let's go to the West, and I want to start off with this one. I think we pick up right where we left off last year. Actually, I think Auburn is going to be a step ahead of A&M. I think A&M is going to be in the cellar. We're going to have to see what Knight does. Is he going to be the answer at the quarterback? I hear he's a stud. We'll see. Their defense is horrible. You heard it from me first on the first demo episode. That coach, Summerlin at A&M, he's a great person, but I think he's going to be the downfall of the team. He's a $6 million man, and they're sitting on the bottom of the SEC West. Next, you've got Auburn. I say MSU is going to be ranked above them. And then the only reason I'm saying this is because LSU does not have a quarterback. And like I said in the earlier episode, Miles is a circus ride. So I see LSU there. And then the bracket is between the Ole Miss and Alabama at the top. And that's the X factor there. And like I said, with everything I've ever said, the X factor there is quarterback. Which one has 4,000 plus yards before the season even started from last year as a starter? That would be Chad Kelly. Alabama doesn't even have one coming up. But we shall see. And that's my prediction.
I disagree with you on everything.
Naturally, you would. That's the reason we have you here.
No, bottom I would go State. I'm not trying to hate at all, and that was a rhyme. I didn't mean to do that. No offensive line. You lost all your playmakers. Dak's gone. You don't know who your quarterback's going to be. Whichever one has really no meaningful time versus a meaningful team. Then I'll go Texas A&M because they've recruited better than State. They've got more playmakers than State. Then I would go Auburn. I think they take a step up, but I still think they don't get past 7, 8 wins. Above that, I actually agree with Wes on this one. I think it is LSU. Like I said earlier, I think they start off the season on fire. I think they win several games in a row before they hit the meat of their schedule, and that will be, again, their downfall, just like this past year. After that, it's a toss-up between Ole Miss and Alabama. I'm going with Ole Miss for 2 reasons. One, we play them at home in Oxford, and 2, like Wes said, quarterback experience. Bama, you don't know who your quarterback's going to be. Ole Miss has their set. The only worry I have about Ole Miss is your left tackle position. You're going to be starting a true freshman in your 3rd game versus the Tide, which I do believe there would be a top 3, if not the top team in the nation when Ole Miss plays them. Should be a heck of a game. This should be a heck of a season, and I hope this show goes on because it's going to be a heck of a ride.
Well, we'll see. Game 1, Labor Day, right off the bat, Florida State should be top 10. Ole Miss should be top 15. They play in Orlando, Florida, I believe it is.
Yes, the Orange Bowl.
Yeah, they play at the Orange Bowl, and we'll know right off the bat because both teams, the ACC and the SEC, is going to get tested right off the bat. And I'm going to see, you're going to know a lot about Chad Kelly and company with these 8 4-star receivers and 1 5-star receiver that he's got underneath his belt, returning with Evan Ingram. And we're going to see, just lights out, how this new Hugh Freeze fun and gun system era is working out.
And I'm going to make a fearless prediction for Ole Miss. I think you're going to see a lot more 2 tight end sets out of Hugh Freeze's offense this year.
That's actually a pretty logical assessment there. I could see that. It's you could actually see some kind of slot movement. You might even see a fullback or 2 this year.
We'll see. I mean, this season should be fun. Like, there's a lot of time to talk about it, and we will talk about it. If you haven't looked at the first weekend games of college football, do so. You've got USC, Alabama I got Ole Miss, FSU. You got Auburn and Clemson, and there are some other ones I know I'm forgetting. But that slate of games is terrific.
Georgia. Ole Miss plays Georgia.
The fourth week.
Yeah, and there's one game in there that Ole Miss plays, and it's Georgia Southern. I don't. That's going to be a tough game there too, man. They take Georgia to the ropes every year.
Georgia Southern's a good team. We cannot overlook them. I mean, any team cannot overlook Georgia Southern.
Nope.
I think they've pulled off a couple upsets, and Ole Miss is known for being upset by these smaller schools. So we're going to have to, bring our A game to compete or to beat them.
That's it. Well, look, this is our first go with this. It's a demo, like I said.
Maybe first episode.
We'll see. I have no clue, but we've covered what we think we should have covered on the first go. Next go, we're going to cover a little bit of baseball because that's going to be fun.
And basketball. We got basketball in season right now.
Yeah.
That's
Matter of fact, Florida, Ole Miss tonight.
How about y'all hit us up on the Twitter site and Facebook site I mentioned earlier, and kind of give us what you want to hear about. Let's get this thing rolling.
Right on, man. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, and y'all take care, okay?
Peace.